You ready?
What are my choices?
Your choices.
My choices are ready.
Ready or
Check
ready. The Mets are ready. They're top of mind after David Robertson walked out the door, and then Max Scherzer said, "I need to talk to the front office." And then
he never had that conversation.
That conversation never happened. It didn't happen before he went.
Well,
I think
he did have a conversation. They probably gave him a strong idea of where they're tilting over the next year or two. Verlander said he'd like to have the same conversation, Lauren. I think that and then Billy Epler came out yesterday and said something interesting. I think it kind of flew under the radar a little. He said, I don't think we'll have the same odds to make the playoffs in 2024 that we had going into 2023. I don't think that means a rebuild. I think it means that I think they're going to keep it limited to what kind of stuff they do in the offseason. They'll put a good team on the field. But everything we've seen that they've done since the trade of David Robertson, the amount of money Steve Cohen was willing to eat on Max Scherzer, the amount he would have to eat to make Verlander be able to go out the door if that happens before 6 p.m. tomorrow, he's just willing to buy prospects. He said he will judge his success as an owner by if he could build a force in the minor leagues that's constantly filling the team with talent, constantly giving them the ability to make any trade they want. They're not there yet. That's their goal right now. They pivoted from trying to win the World Series this year to their World Series now is as many good prospects as possible into their organization.
The percent chance Justin Verlander walks out the door by 4 tomorrow?
I think decent. I mean, I hate playing this game, but I'd say 60-40.
Okay, then he goes.
Because I think that the owner has, like even if you say Justin Verlander isn't Justin Verlander anymore, at 40, he isn't what he was at 39. He won the Cy Young Award last year. He's been really good now, like the top-level numbers for about a month and a half. He's pitched very, very well, including yesterday against Washington. But I think some teams out there are really concerned about the falling. He's 40 years old. There are a real precipitous drop in strikeout percentage over the years. This will show it just on his fastball. Like you could see the shrinking numbers. Keep in mind he didn't really pitch in 2020 and 2021 because of Tommy John surgery. But I'll just give you this quick. In 2019, among qualified starters, he was second in strikeout percentage. Last year he was 10th. This year, he's 56th. So I think that there's teams out there are like, are we buying a falling star? I still think it's Justin Verlander. I still think he's, somebody who helps a lot of teams. And I think this owner is willing to take the money to make it possible for him to go, as long as he gets what he wants in return, which is at least one high-level prospect, if not two.
Is there a front runner to land him?
I mean, a front runner, I think at some price, almost any contender would be
Because I keep hearing Dodgers, keep reading it.
The Dodgers are definitely talking, and I think you could see why. They are right now trying to get by with 3 rookies in their rotation. Sheehan, Grove, and Miller. And look, these were the additions in the last week. Their goal this week was to get more right-handed versatile bats, Rosario and Hernandez, was to add to their bullpen, Joe Kelly, and was to get a starter who at least raised the floor. Like they know Lance Lynn doesn't raise the ceiling, but they feel with their analytic guys that there's some underlying numbers there that isn't going to be a 6.47 ERA with them.
Yeah.
That he raises the floor, helps until Clayton Kershaw comes back. But even when Kershaw's back, it's kind of Kershaw, Urias, Gonsolin, Lynn. Verlander pitches a playoff game for them. And so at the right price, money, and the right price prospects, I think that they're the team to watch.
You said with the Mets that they want this young crop of young, talented players that are going to be good for a decade. They essentially want what's happening in Baltimore. The Yankees want the similar thing, right? How much of their plans now are to help them this year as opposed to look into the future next year and beyond?
Look, I think the Yankees have come to an appreciation that they have a shot to make the playoffs this year, but that this is not a very good team in the ilk of what we expect out of the Yankees year to year. This team, to me, looks very much like these teams up here. I would scratch the 14 team. They were never selling in 14. That was Derek Jeter announced his retirement before the season. Hal Steinbrenner was not going to allow a sale, right? In 2013, Brian Cashman wanted to sell Robinson Cano they wouldn't let him. It was very kind of similar to where they are now. In 2016, they let him trade Chapman and Miller. Now, I think if they went out in this market with Clay Holmes and Michael King, they could make a killing. Could they do Chapman Miller? I mean, historically, Chapman Miller turned out to be Gleyber Torres for them and nothing really else. I don't think they'll do that. But, Lauren, I think that all of their trades, significant. If they make a significant trade, it will be a player with control beyond 2023.
Okay.
They have to think about fixing their 2024. They got to get more athletic, deeper, more left-handed, better batting average, a lot of stuff. And I think they got to finally fix left field, which they haven't, or third base long term. And I think that's where they are. Like, it's got to be players that help them beyond this season.
It's just interesting because we've said for the longest time they can't sell too big. They're in New York, but now we're seeing what's happening in Flushing, Queens, and they're selling.
That's one of the nonsense things. I would
tell me.
I would love the idea that you can't rebuild in New York. Of course, you could rebuild in New York. I mean, the Knicks have been terrible for what, 30 years? And they still bring 18,000 people to the Garden all the time. I think the Mets are being honest to their fans right now.
That's what D-Row always says.
Just be honest. Tell them what you're trying to do. The people who don't like it, they're going to call talk radio anyway. So you can't or go onto the internet. Just ignore them.